The sound of a child crying sliced through the quiet mansion like a crack of thunder, raw and helpless, echoing down the marble hallway where silence usually lived. It was not the kind of sound money could erase, not the kind of pain that could be ignored. In that moment, something inside a powerful man who owned everything except peace began to stir, because this cry was not just about a broken toy, it was about a broken world. Before the story unfolds any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that one small act can change an entire life, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Also tell us in the comments where you're watching from, because stories like this connect hearts across the world. Jonathan Reeves was a self-made millionaire CEO, a man whose name was printed in business magazines and whispered in boardrooms with respect and fear. He lived in a house so large that footsteps echoed even when he walked alone. Every wall held expensive art, every room smelled of polish and wealth, yet none of it filled the emptiness that followed him like a shadow. His days were ruled by numbers, profits, and ruthless decisions. His nights were ruled by silence. Jonathan had built an empire, but somewhere along the way, he had lost the softer parts of himself, the parts that once believed people mattered more than power. In the back quarters of the mansion lived Maria Thompson, the housemaid who had worked for Jonathan for over 6 years. She arrived before sunrise, left after sunset, and rarely complained. Life had taught her endurance early. Her husband had passed away years ago, leaving her alone to raise her daughter Lily, a quiet, bright-eyed 7-year-old who carried hope in her smile despite growing up with very little. Lily often waited in the staff room after school, drawing pictures with broken crayons and playing with a single old toy that Maria had bought her from a second-hand shop. It was a small stuffed rabbit with one missing button eye, stitched together with love more than thread. That evening, Jonathan was walking through the hallway after a tense phone call with investors. His deal had gone through, another victory, another step higher on the ladder, yet his chest felt heavier than ever. As he passed near the staff quarters, he heard it again, the crying. It was not loud, but it was deep, the kind that came from a place of disappointment too big for a child's heart. He stopped without realizing why. No assistant, no board member had ever made him stop like that sound did. Hidden just around the corner, he saw Lily sitting on the floor, clutching the stuffed rabbit. Its head had torn away from the body, the old stitches finally giving up. Maria was kneeling beside her, exhausted hands trying to fix something she did not have the tools or strength to repair. Lily's shoulders shook as she cried, not just because the toy was broken, but because it was the only thing that felt truly hers in a world that constantly reminded her of what she did not have. Jonathan felt something crack inside him. He remembered his own childhood, one he rarely allowed himself to think about. A small apartment, unpaid bills, a father who left, and a mother who worked double shifts. He remembered how one broken thing could feel like the end of the world when you had nothing else to replace it. He had buried those memories under years of ambition, convincing himself that success meant never looking back. Yet here they were, staring at him through the eyes of a crying child. He did not speak. He simply walked away, but not back to his office. Instead, he went to his private study, a room filled with awards and framed achievements. He sat there for a long time, staring at his reflection in the dark glass of a cabinet, realizing how small those awards felt compared to the pain he had just witnessed. For the first time in years, Jonathan Reeves felt ashamed, not of failure, but of forgetting. The next morning, the entire household felt a strange shift in the air. Jonathan canceled his meetings and stayed home, something that almost never happened. Maria worked nervously, worried she had done something wrong. Lily stayed close to her mother, her eyes still swollen from crying the night before, the broken toy tucked carefully in her bag like a wounded friend. What happened next shocked everyone. Jonathan did not simply replace the toy. He did not throw money at the problem and walk away. Instead, he began to change the rules of the house, and slowly, the rules of his own life. He arranged for Lily to attend one of the best schools in the city, not as charity, but as opportunity. He adjusted Maria's working hours so she could spend evenings with her daughter. He set up a small room in the mansion as a study space for Lily, filled with books, art supplies, and yes, a repaired version of her beloved rabbit, restored by a professional but still imperfect enough to remain hers. The staff watched in disbelief as the cold, distant CEO began to soften. He started greeting people by name, asking about their families, listening instead of commanding. The mansion felt warmer, not because of luxury, but because of humanity. Jonathan himself felt lighter. For the first time, success felt meaningful, but the greatest change was not material. It was in Lily. The quiet child who once cried over a broken toy began to bloom. She laughed more, dreamed bigger, and carried herself with a confidence that came from being seen. Maria cried silently many nights, overwhelmed by gratitude, not because of money, but because someone had finally treated her daughter's pain as important. Years passed. Jonathan continued to support Lily's education, mentoring her not as a benefactor, but as someone who believed in her potential. And in helping her, he healed parts of himself he had long ignored. He learned that kindness was not weakness, that compassion did not reduce power, it gave it purpose. On the day Lily graduated with honors, holding her repaired rabbit tucked into her bag as a reminder of where she started, Jonathan sat in the audience with tears in his eyes. He realized that the most valuable investment he had ever made was not in stocks or companies, but in a moment of empathy sparked by a child's tears. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that small acts of kindness can create ripples that last a lifetime, please take a moment now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps keep stories like this alive, and before this story ends, we have a special request for you. Please comment below what this story made you feel, or share a moment when kindness changed your life, because your words might inspire someone else who is silently struggling. In the end, the household was never the same again, not because of wealth, but because one man finally listened to a child's cry and chose to become human again.